Hey fam, I want you to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications. Yeah, y'all know, I ain't watching Fox News. They don't call me, so it ain't like I'm gonna watch them. But I saw this on social media. So Jeanine Pirro used to be a judge, district attorney. She got a show on Fox News on the weekends. One, she crazy. I knew she was crazy until I saw this clip.
If you want to come here, you apply. You do it legally. You're not entitled to come here. You have no right to come here to assault our borders. And it's at our discretion that you do so. And then, if we agree, you get to the back of the line like everyone else. And don't give me this racism nonsense. We fought a civil war to make sure that we put an end to the stain of racism and slavery in our nation. We're not racist. Truth be told, you're engaging in reverse racism. It seems you think that your skin color entitles you to be here ahead of everyone else in the world who may have a different skin color, but who's suffering the same injustice. You're not.
Give me a moment. Did she just say we fought the Civil War to end racism? Did you hear that?
While serving you up grade A.
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, Jeanine Pirro, let me sort of help you out. After the Great Compromise of 1877, there was a thing called Jim Crow. Now, Jim Crow, Jeanine, was actually racism. There's a thing called the Black Codes, which came out after the Great Compromise of 1877. We actually saw slavery without shackles in America, Jeanine. Now, that, of course, in 1877. Last I checked, there were covenants that were actually in place where black people couldn't live next to white people, that black people had land taken from them. It's called racism, Jeanine. We had a thing called the peonage system where African Americans were thrown in jail because we were no longer slaves, so therefore they needed free labor in places like Mississippi and Alabama, so they had trumped up charges for black people, and then they were thrown in jail. It's called racism. Then, of course, even when you go to the First World War, Jeanine, you had a separation of troops. Black troops over here and white troops over here. It's also called racism. And then, of course, you had the black newspapers, like the Double V campaign, Victory at Home and Victory Abroad, because they say that we're fighting fascism across the ocean. We kind of want to deal with racism in America. It's still called racism. Then, of course, you might remember, Jeanine, that movie, The Birth of a Nation, you know, where they showed the Klan. And, of course, D.W. Griffith, it was like this really great movie. That was called racism. You might mean that great bigot Woodrow Wilson showed it in the White House. Democrat, absolutely racist, Jeanine. Then you might also remember that when FDR became, first of all, before FDR, Herbert Hoover became president and he was a Republican, he led a movement called the Lily White Movement, where the racists in the Republican Party got with the racists in the Democratic Party, and they had a thing called the Lily White Movement. Okay, Jeanine, it's called the Lily White Movement, which means that I couldn't be in the movement, Eugene couldn't be in the movement, Michael couldn't be in the movement, as Avis couldn't be in the movement because we were black. It's called racism. Then, of course, Jeanine, you might remember also when FDR became president, he was put on pressure by A. Philip Randolph when it came to the issue of racism. 1936, Jesse Owens wins 4 gold medals in Germany. Hitler wouldn't shake his hand, but guess what? He also wasn't invited to the White House because FDR wouldn't shake his hand. That's called racism. And in fact, I do recall also when Jesse Owens came home, there was a dinner for him in New York City. It was a dinner for him to celebrate him making America look good in Germany. He had to go through the kitchen, even though he was the honoree. It's called racism. Then, of course, we moved, Jeanine, to the 40s and to the 50s. And August 28th, we moved to the issue of Emmett Till being lynched in Mississippi. Brown versus Board of Education, overturned by the Supreme Court, 9-0 decision by the Supreme Court. Racism. Brown 2 in 1955. Racism. Montgomery bus boycott, December 1st, 1955. Racism. Then, of course, Albany, Georgia. Then North Carolina A&T. Desegregating lunch counters. Then, of course, March on Washington. And, of course, Selma and Birmingham. And then let's see, Charlotte and Atlanta. And let's see, Florida, Jackie Robinson. Of course, he didn't get to Major League Baseball until 1947. Damn, what was that? Racism. Who was the last team to actually hire a black player in baseball? Was it the Red Sox? Who was the last team to hire a black player in football? I think it was called the Redskins. And Major League Baseball had a rule you could only have 3 black people on a team at one time. Damn, Jeanine, that's called racism. Then, of course, let's see here. Fair Housing Act, 1968. Only reason it got passed because the king got assassinated on April 4th, 1968. It was filibustered for 2 years. What the hell we call that? Racism. What the hell is wrong with you? You're a white woman who went to law school. Matter of fact, let me help you out as a white woman who went to law school. Because guess what? The only reason you were able to go to law school is because of black people. Because when Title IX was passed in 1972, they said that was a provision of the Civil Rights Act. Because you know where Title IX came from? You're a lawyer. The Civil Rights Act of 1964. Please. If you are going to be on television, at least attempt to walk past a book. You don't have to open it up. I just think through osmosis, what's in the book might jump the hell out and knock you upside your head and give you some common sense about American history. So no, Jeanine, racism in America didn't end because of the Civil War. It continued, and it still continues to this day.
On her now.
Crazies at Fox News are trying to take advantage of the Democrats in the House, trying to find the appropriate response to comments by Congresswoman Ilhan Omar about Israel's power in the United States. Here's what that crazy bat, Jeanine Pirro, said on her show on Saturday about Omar.
This is not who your party is. Your party is not anti-Israel. She is. Think about this. She's not getting this anti-Israel sentiment doctrine from the Democrat Party. So if it's not rooted in the party, where is she getting it from? Think about it. Omar wears a hijab, which according to the Quran 33:59 tells women to cover so they won't get molested. Is her adherence to this Islamic doctrine indicative of her adherence to Sharia law, which in itself is antithetical to the United States Constitution?
Folks, her crazy rant was even too much for Trump TV. Fox News issued this public rebuke of Pirro. We strongly condemn Jeanine Pirro's comments about Representative Ilhan Omar. They do not reflect those of the network, and we have addressed the matter with her directly. But what was interesting is that there was a Muslim who was a producer for Bret Baier's show who tweeted Pirro and said, "Who objects to what you had to say? Me, a Muslim who works here at Fox News." The question is, what did they say to her by addressing it directly? Okay, what's going to happen? What you are dealing with here literally is somebody who needs to be in the NFL concussion protocol program. The game recognized game. What she's trying to do is she is trying to assume the mantle of Bill O'Reilly. She wants to say wild and crazy things because, frankly, between all of the people who are on Fox News and Fox Business, is a whole bunch of wild and crazy people who say stuff. I mean, you've got Laura Ingraham, Sean Hannity, you've got Tucker Carlson, you got the nut Lou Dobbs, who used to be a smart guy. I think he had a lobotomy. Jesse B. Waters, who can't seem to figure out the difference between Gayle King and Robert Roberts. So you have all of these madness that's going on. And so Pirro is desperately trying to be the source of attention. Now, what's interesting is that you have these people who attack her for wearing a hijab. What you have here is Islamophobia. What you have here are people who want to attack Muslims, who want to say they are not like us. Now, tell that to the Muslims who are fighting in the U.S. military. Tell that to the Muslims who are police officers. I thought Fox News loved the military, and they love first responders. Tell that to the Muslims who are EMT workers. Tell it to the Muslims who are trying to secure America's safety. But see, that's a little too much for them because they can't tolerate that, because they are about speaking to a base, their viewership, who are old white people. Old white people are still living in 1950s and 1960s America. That's the world that they want. Hey fam, want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered, the blackest show on all of digital, cable, and broadcast. Check out our audio podcast. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. Press play. You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.